I think the challenge is that monogamy isn't really well negotiated at the outset of a relationship. It's not something that people tend to talk about truthfully. And so they find themselves in long-term relationships, in marriages, and it's nothing they've really contemplated. And so a great book for your viewers to read would be The Monogamy Gap by Dr. Eric Anderson, who really does explain the almost cognitive dissonance that so many men find themselves in, where this self-fulfilling prophecy of love being able to carry the day, it ends up not being true. It ends up being that you are incredibly attracted to so many other people and you don't know what to do about it, and you are very stressed. And I think one of your upcoming guests is going to talk about that. And so, I think this is an eternal story. Infidelity has been around since we've been in relationships, and it's not going anywhere.
Simone, you and I know strongly different. I'll let you address this. Go ahead.
Oh, dear Noel, I am going to speak up on behalf of women of America, and I'm also going to stand up for men, because men don't want to be this kind of guy. I totally hear you when you say about opportunity. I totally disagree with you when you talk about monogamy. Most men who are intelligent understand the benefits of monogamy. If we talk about the evolutionary basis, the fact is men pee in toilets. They can also be trained to be faithful, and every single man that I have come across who's been unfaithful hates himself for it. Men, I know, want to be monogamous. And if they have these feelings, no one's to say that we can't find other people attractive, but this is about impulse control.
And it's about the richness of a relationship that gets diminished when people cheat. Andy in Georgia, what do you have for me?
Hi, Dr. Drew. I love your show.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, do you think there's an innate genetic component, and I'm speaking from sort of a Darwinian procreation standpoint, that compels men to cheat and makes it almost unnatural for them to maintain monogamous relationships?
Well, I'll let you answer that. One aspect of that is I would address that by saying, if you look at every health parameter that you can measure on a male, they're enhanced by monogamy. Life expectancy, probability of certain illnesses, happiness, every measure you can come up with, monogamy enhances that. And monogamy it has a healthiness to it. It has to be maintained. It has to be nurtured. When you diminish it, you injure it and you decrease the probability that you're going to get everything you need from it. Now, in terms of there being some sort of genetic element here, yes, of course, if we were just out we were still, 10 million years ago, we were out in the bush, yes, there's, look at the way other primates behave. There's no doubt that in that environment, when our life expectancy would be not out of childhood, and once out of childhood, maybe 20 years at the most. Yes, then in terms of advancing our genes through time, yes, there's a genetic push for that. A woman has a massive investment in every sexual encounter. It's potentially 18 years of providing for, or at least risking her life. You got to remember that throughout history, 20 to 50% of women would expect to die in childbirth. So we live in a different time now. Antibiotics have unhinged us from this. The hormonal contraceptives have unhinged us from our biology. So to talk about evolutionary biology, I think is somewhat misplaced. I'm going to go to Virginia in Virginia. What do you got?
Good evening, Dr.
Hi, Virginia.
Asking a wife to learn how to just deal with her husband's infidelity, to me, is like asking a wife to learn to live in a marriage without trust.
And
trust
so
is like a foundation to a house.
So Virginia, you can't feel safe. You can't feel safe if someone's intimate sort of emotional life is being taken somewhere else. Simone, you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, Virginia. You made such a good point, because actually, if you go into a monogamous relationship, you have trust, you trust in each other, you have faith in each other, that actually you're going to respect each other, that you'll still, look at someone who's attractive, man or a woman, but it's the sacred union, and whether you're religious or not, that is what is important. And I loved Dr. Drew's point about how men who are in happy marriages live longer.
And not only that, and hey, when everyone's a young screwball, have at it. Don't make any sacred commitments to anybody. I'll talk to you about the consequences of that in a different call Loveline for that. But that's what we talk about, the biological and emotional consequences of that. But once you make a sacred commitment, don't make that commitment if you don't want to. That's fine. Tara in Texas, real quick. What do you got?
Hi, Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
I have a comment and kind of a question.
Yeah.
My comment is that my marriage has survived an infidelity. We've been married 4 years, and 2 years ago, my husband made an unthinkable mistake. And it kind of really made us both look at ourselves and realize, how do we get here? And to try to rebuild our marriage from the beginning. And it blessed our marriage. It taught me forgiveness, and it changed our marriage for the better.
Yes.
I don't know if that happens for everybody. But I guess, a lot of your guests are trying to excuse the behavior as just something men do. But when you think about why men cheat, the core reason typically is, depression or egos or a sense of control. These are deep psychological traits. Why do we keep excusing the behavior as just something they should do when we really should say, look, we really need to treat you and care for you and nurture you through this issue because it's causing you to do things that hurt people.
Tara, you bring up some great points, and I see Simone vigorously shaking her head. I'm going to allow her to tell you about her clinical experience with this particular issue. I'm going to give Noel a chance to respond to you, though, before I go to break. Go ahead, Noel. Wait, you'll be after the break.
I think what's really important here is there is a psychographic at play. I don't think we should be telling your viewers, though, that somehow it's a negative one, that somehow these people are acting abnormally. The majority of people will be unfaithful at one point or another in their lives. The majority, I think that's important to hear. And they're not just necessarily doing it because some sort of emotional shortcoming. Sometimes they're doing it because of a pure biological sexual desire. And that might be looking for something different than their partner can even give them. For example, married men who want to have a same-sex experience. Their partner can't all of a sudden become that same-sex thing, but that is a real drive for millions of men on the quote-unquote down low. It's hard to explain. That isn't necessarily psychological. That's a lot more biological from my perspective.
All right. Well, we could argue that particular point all